Oh, yuck! Hearing the name Magistrate Tony Parsons, he was the magistrate that was driving drug court, the Melbourne drug court, when I was forced to stay at a house in Caulfield that had a cover story of a snuff porn ring. You got to excuse me, I've just left the dentist. Of a snuff porn ring. I kid you not. They put me to mess with me, like trying to, when they were mid trying to cook me, basically trying to cook me into lashing out and driving down the Burke Street Mall or something like that, or to use Magistrate Pappas's name, way of wording it, phrase. When they were mid having sport with me, I was under the watchful eye of Tony Parsons, Magistrate Tony Parsons. They made me stay, and all this can be verified, they made me stay at a rooming house in Caulfield with drug addicted women in it whose cover story was to pretend they were running a snuff porn, as in filming me secretly in the bathroom and toilet and whatnot, and then selling it to the creeps online. That was their front story, I kid you not. So after a little while of that, and me listening to scumbag people that were under their employee job, their role was called a clinical advisor, by the name of Adam, who I now believe was just a high-ranking police officer. He was probably one of the higher-paid police officers, who knows? But anyway, they were having sport with me at this stage, and that sport involved that kind of cover story. And this was all under the watchful eye of Magistrate Tony Parsons. I wonder if he knew that. I wonder if he knew the severity of what I was dealing with. Although I did write him a letter. I remember that letter. I wonder if I could get my hands on all that letter through Freedom of Information. Because I can remember explaining to him X, Y, and Z, and he just seemed to want to back his team, they call it, like our team. They always find an excuse to back their team, even though they were literally using drug-addicted women in the most degrading of degrading ways, even though one of those women was coerced with the returned custody of her toddler, literally. So what happened was, I tried making this before and it sort of blew out, and I'm going to have to do this one nice and concisely, but for now I'll just give you a brief touch. They basically put me in a rooming house that I had to stay at. Right? If I wanted any chance of turning my life around from square zero with the Victorian system, I had to go through the motions I was going through. So they put me in a boarding house in Endeavour Hills while I'm in Melbourne. I've got to attend Melbourne every single day. North Melbourne, I had to get to North Melbourne for an appointment every single day while I'm living an hour the wrong side of Dandenong. So, and then I'm listening to smart aleck remarks from this Adam about how he's surprised I've even lasted this long. And so I'm going through all this craziness. Once this woman had sort of latched onto me, they moved me into a place in Caulfield where there's all these barbs, like they're filming me and her have sex and ridiculing me about it, or like making like, ha, we're watching you, like just creepy stuff at the Melbourne drug court. Like just yuck, like women correction workers coming out flattering their eyelashes and just really creepy stuff. And this is all on camera too. Like you could go and get the CCTV footage and see the behaviour of the corrections workers, of the drug counsellors of the Melbourne Drug Court. None of this is made up at all. And so just the creepiest of creepy stuff, like living in a house with a person whose role, an informant working for the Melbourne Drug Court, working for Tony Parsons, was to film me in the shower. Literally, I caught her out. I won't go into how I caught her out, but I did. When I did, coincidentally, the girl who was the informant who got rewarded with the returned custody of her toddler, who was sent to Odyssey House to try and basically just to mess with me while I was at Odyssey House. So just in case I actually toughed it out at Odyssey House. But what ended up happening when I did that, they ended up making up some fabricated story about, oh, you did this or you did that, like just some complete nonsense. But wait, so then I'm out of Odyssey House, where they literally, how's this for dodginess? So what happened was, this person I'd had a toxic friendship with, not even a relationship, a friendship, who was battling to get her child back. So I had this sympathy, knowing she was battling to get her child back. There's that. And the fact that the system played on that is sickening, which I'll get into in a longer one. But for now, let's just... So what ends up happening is, 1 week after I'm at the disgusting Odyssey House, the cult-like Odyssey House, I get called into a room and told such and such has applied to come there. My exact words were to them, well, I'm only just battling to get myself, she's battling for a child. I'll go back to prison. Anyway, they said that's what we were worried about, blah, blah, blah. You got to think of yourself. I said, got to think of myself? What are you talking about? She's battling to get a child back. What kind of animal are you? I'm thinking. Anyway, so they let her come and all this shenanigans happen. I get kicked out, told to leave, where I then go to this Endeavour place, blah, blah, blah. Once I had got rid of the first informant girl, once I'd got rid of her at Caulfield, within 36 hours, I get a call from the informant that got paid with her toddler, the girl, and she'd just been asked to leave Odyssey House for some weird twist. So basically they needed another informant because I'd got rid of the other one. I kid you not. And this is how disgusting our system is. They're just disgusting use and playing with people's life I've been exposed to is sickening. Which, stay tuned, because I'm going to do a long one. I'm going to do a proper one on YouTube on that. And I'll write it down so I don't get... And I'll just run you through the steps, because it's sickening. Speak soon, guys.
They're all pointing at you. Oh, yeah, I know, and they're laughing their heads off. Oh, wow. Do you know who recorded it? Chariots of Fire is by...
Stinky Swiney. That's who recorded it. It was Stinky Swiney. Yeah.
Is it Lancaster 42?
Yes.
No such thing.
Stinky Swiney recorded. I can't feel my fucking tongue. I'm back.
If you've ever completed a marathon or if you're running over the weekend, you have been training for this for a long time. Why are you doing it?
I have. Look, to be honest, I was probably at a stage in my life last year I was starting to blow out at the age of 30. And I remember I was pretty refreshed one night and the next day was pretty tricky, and it was the day of the Melbourne Marathon last year, and I remember seeing everyone so proud and with their medals, and I was pretty shabby and had not feeling $1 million. So I thought, after that day, I thought, no, I want to run a marathon. So been training for 12 months, and I haven't completed it yet. So I'm never more nervous in my life. Okay, so I'm incredibly nervous. I can't stop thinking about it.